Hello and welcome back to Cinematic Universe Area 1. My name is Ernesto Martinez. Joining me as always on the Supergirl series review is Damon Hawkman. How are you?
I'm good.
Alright, episode 7 titled Human for a Day. Last week, Supergirl fought off against Tio Morrow's Red Tornado, in which we experienced a very emotional moment from Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, where she pretty much goes supernova with her heat vision and just ends Red Tornado, out of like focusing all her anger on that one singular heat vision attack. And it siphoned out all her powers, where in comic book lore and the show, this episode basically sums up, it takes like 48 hours to 72 hours to for her body to drink enough solar radiation for her to be back in superhero fighting shape. Or, if you need like an adrenaline rush, that could help too, but we'll get to that later. Um, I'm going to say that just for the whole thing of Human for a Day, it's not the first time that it's been done in the comics or in the Superman, lore in the movies or TV shows. This has been done before. It's pretty much what happens when one of the most powerful characters in the world is brought down to a mortal level to see how powerless they can feel. And this episode pretty much deals into how powerless Kara, feels, the fact that she can't save everyone. The whole world is like, where is Supergirl? You have Maxwell Lord, again, played by Peter Facinelli, who, kind of like a Lex Luthor, just jumps in there to save the day because that's his goal. He wants to he's the city, poster boy, and he wants to show everybody, listen, you can't always, rely on superheroes to save the day. Which, again, like I said, Lex Luthor reminds me of Lex Luthor because Lex Luthor is all about, he feels that Superman is a threat to the world and he feels that he needs to save the world from Superman. And he also hates the idea of somebody like a Superman existing in the world because he feels that humanity and mankind is going to just not progress or evolve and they're going to rely on a Kryptonian to solve their problems, which he kind of points out with Supergirl in this episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's something that's been done to death with comic book characters. I mean, we saw it just last season on the Flash. But it's just a matter of what they can bring to it. And I mean, I felt like it was a pretty strong episode in that regard. I think. I don't know. I feel like superheroes have a tendency to beat themselves up a little bit too much. I mean, if you didn't have powers and you weren't able to save them, and there was no way that you really could have avoided not having your powers, just shut up. Don't freaking lose your shit over it. I mean, it was. I mean, and I understand, but all things considered, I felt like they did some pretty good stuff with the episode.
Yeah, it's almost like they feel like they owe the world to be saved the way they want to.
Yeah.
Like this ideal that, oh, well, now that I saved the world, I have to, I'm beholden to that, standard that if there's a burning building, they expect me to come over there and use my freeze breath and stuff like that. And I think that's primarily, how they say, like, to a fault, when they always end the sentence to a fault. That's one of the things that heroes are, heroic to a fault.
Right.
Now that we have that out of the way, because I like the parts of her feeling human, how she can't save everyone, how she feels vulnerable, and I also, there are also some criticisms, Cat Grant notwithstanding. The reveal at the end of this episode, and I want to get straight to this right now, I don't want to tiptoe around it. John,
that shit, man.
John freaking Jones, Martian Manhunter. Holy shit, they went right for it.
Yeah, that was perfect. And I mean, they didn't try to sugarcoat it. They didn't just have his eyes glow red. He went full
on Martian. Yeah.
I got spoiled. Some asshat decided they had to throw that out there, and I was just like, man. But at the same time, I was like, Ernesto's going to be so pleased.
I am
he called
pleased.
this like in episode 1, man. You called it. Good job.
Thank you. I am pleased. Like, I know I've gone back and forth on the whole, you know how I said that Berlanti and Kreisberg, they tend to twist some of the origins of the characters but retain the spirit of the character. Here we have Hank Henshaw, who has traditionally been Cyborg Superman.
Right.
Now it's Martian Manhunter who took the identity of Hank Henshaw for reasons that are explained in the episode because, you know, as honoring her father's wishes because, you know, he apparently allegedly died like in the flashback scene that we saw a few episodes back. And you know, okay, well, I'm going to assume his identity. I'm going to oversee the DEO and protect this, you know, this child of this person who saved me. And, you know, that's all great and everything. But now that we know that this is a new interpretation of the Hank Henshaw character, which is just in name only and identity played by Martian Manhunter, now I want to see Dean Cain come back as Cyborg Superman. That needs to happen. There is no excuse for that not happening at this point.
Yeah, that would be a nice twist. And then we'd have family drama on both sides from characters that look like, familial counterparts. Because you've got Kara's aunt who looks like her mother, and you'd have Alex's, or Cyborg Superman who looks like Alex's father. That would be really, really, it would be a nice mix.
Yeah, it really would. And like you said, the drama, I mean, it's, how can you not capitalize on it? And I'm not asking them to do it immediately. I don't need it for them to blow their entire load on this season. I'd rather they focus just on the Kryptonian storyline that they're doing right now between Kara and her aunt. Like, just take care of that this season, and then we'll focus on the possibilities of Dean Cain being Cyborg Superman for the next season, hopefully.
Yeah.
I like how in IMDb page he's officially, you know, David Harwood, officially Hank Henshaw / John Jones. It's I'm sorry, it's just nice to see John Jones getting some love because the character, you know, he hasn't had an opportunity to be on the big screen, but he has been on the small screen a lot lately. I mean, we can go back like to the Super Friends, him being on there. We can go back to that failed Justice League of America pilot episode that never got off the ground. You remember that?
Yeah, and he was the best part of that.
Exactly. Then you have the Justice League animated series, which he was, you know, the interpretation of that character with Carl Lumbly voicing him was fantastic. And then you have the interpretation of, I forget what the actor's name is, but it was on Smallville. However, we never got to see the Martian. We only just got to see the, you know, the human part of it, not the alien part of it. And now we have him here on Supergirl. And they went for it. He turned into John Jones. And he says, I am John Jones. And his design, which era design is he from? Because the only close thing I could compare it to is from the Justice League Crisis on Two Earths character design and the Young Justice character design, where he's all black, has the red belt on his chest and a blue cape.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of an amalgamation. It's certainly not classic, but I mean it's closer to those that you mentioned and New 52.
Yeah, New 52 at least is, you know, again also an amalgamation. But man, that just really the episode was going very fine, and it just went up to, oh my god, as soon as we got to those last moments. And really, that's all I really wanted to talk about, just seeing Martian Manhunter pop up. I mean, the episode was very good. I mean, Cat Grant, I mean, she has a little moment, okay, but again, still, you know, going back and forth with Calista Flockhart. We got more of Laura Benanti as Allura Zor-El /
Yeah, don't forget about me. I'm still here. Yeah. Still probably going to be the big bad.
Yeah. And we also have the foil to Martian Manhunter, which short-lived, Jemm, played by Charles Halford. Which I felt they kind of...
Yeah, that's who he was. I was trying to remember who that guy was. I knew it was somebody that I knew, but I couldn't put my finger on it. So I know him.
Yeah. I think at some point I kind of thought it was Clancy Brown because the voice kind of felt a little reminiscent, but I'm like, no, it can't be Clancy Brown. That's just too awesome. And so, I don't know. The whole thing with Jemm kind of felt a little too quick, too easily wrapped up, and apparently this interpretation of John Jones is not, above, killing. I assume that's what he did, which I'm not going to argue about it. I mean, yes, the Martian Manhunter that I grew up with mostly didn't exactly kill, but again, he is a Martian. I'm not going to hold him up to a standard of, oh, you're not allowed to kill. I'm trying to, have my cake and eat it too here. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm not going to harp on it. I'm just like, well, Jemm was a pretty dangerous character. So it was either that or... Because that glass prison, which apparently is the go-to prison for all supervillains, didn't do much.
I've got to go back and reread the Jemm miniseries from years ago.
What is his weakness?
Honestly, I don't remember very much about him at all. I mean, I remember reading the book when I was a kid, and I don't think I ever read it again.
Okay. Because he pretty much has the same power sets as Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, it seemed like they were at the very least kind of contemporaries.
Mm-hmm.
But I always got the impression that Jemm was more of a good guy.
Okay.
And maybe the only reason that he bitched out so heinously is because they were holding him.
Okay.
And fair.
Yeah.
I think I might have a tendency to go a little crazy.
All right. Last two things that I'll bring up is we got Astra came back in the last few minutes, which I'm like, yes, hi. We still have my story to tell, right? So, I'm glad finally we got back to Astra. And now here's where I think I know where Winn's story's going to go. Because while Kara was, trying to talk about having a semblance of a normal life, here comes Winn and he tells her right there, you're not like one of us, Kara. You can't, he's in a relationship with Lucy Lane. You can't just pine over and try to have a normal life like us humans. And I'm just like, whoa, hold on there, dude. What's with the attitude? It's like, damn, dude. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's a little bitch.
Yeah, it's like, all right, dude.
Just back the fuck up, man.
All right, dude. Supergirl is not interested in you. Move on. And obviously she's not showing any love to him because she's been googly-eyed for James Olsen since day one. So,
right.
Fuck that shit. The reason why I bring it up because we know that his father, Toyman Sr., is going to appear pretty soon. I don't want it to feel like just because he got, friend-zoned by Supergirl that he's going to turn to the dark side because of that. It'd just be pitiful. Which kind of speaks volumes to a lot of B supervillains in DC Comics where they all just, have very pitiful backstories.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm going to dismiss it outright, but I kind of feel like it's been telegraphed since this episode.
Yeah, and maybe because it's been telegraphed, maybe they're doing that intentionally so that he can have some kind of redemption and not do that. Well, I think that would be a much stronger way to go.
It's all about the execution.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, as far as execution goes, and as much as I love the reveal of Martian Manhunter, I'm hoping that we don't spend the entire season with Alex, being the only one who knows, and him not really... I want more Martian Manhunter, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, dude, if they were to say tomorrow that there was not going to be any more Supergirl, that they were going to make it a Martian Manhunter series, I would be sad for like 30 seconds, and then I would be like ecstatic and say maybe it could be a Martian Manhunter series where Supergirl occasionally comes on. I'm just so happy to see the character out and about again. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, when the New 52 happened,
he got sidelined.
He got sidelined in a big, big way. I mean, one of the most
Underrated.
awesome characters that's never really been handled well anywhere except for the Justice League stories and John Ostrander's series from back in the 90s.
And right now with Rob Williams.
Do what?
Rob Williams run right now?
Yeah? Is it good?
It's good. The only negative I'll say is that it's not a bad series. It's well written, but it reads better in collections rather than monthly. Because it's it's a very, it's kind of like a big story that he's trying to do, and if you're not paying attention, you might get lost from issue to issue. So it's one of those stories that really works as a volume type deal rather than a monthly follow.
Cool.
Which is the reason why I removed it from my pool, is because you know what? I really want to read more, but I am not feeling it as a monthly. It might read better as a volume.
Right. Well, and I like when they tell stories like that. I mean, it makes it more like it makes it more like a novel, honestly.
Yeah, and I understand what you mean about when the New 52 started. The character pretty much just, I mean, with the Justice League series that is still being written by Jeff Johns, the character, there was only one chapter, I think it was chapter 7, I'm probably confusing, where they tried to recruit him, but he pretty much lashed out against the Justice League, and he basically said, no, I'm not interested. And then he went to Stormwatch, and then that series got canceled.
Yeah.
Then he went to Justice League of America, only for us to realize that Justice League of America was only relaunched for the Justice League Trinity War. And then he went to Justice League United, which I liked the first volume. I loved that first volume of Justice League United. And then since it's going to get canceled right now, it's, that was it. And right now we have, what's his name? He's doing JLA right now. Brian Hitch. He's doing both writing and art duty. So that series is being, not keeping up to schedule. But just last month, instead of printing out the following chapter, they printed a Martian Manhunter one-shot, but it's called JLA number 5, The Story of Martian Manhunter, which I wouldn't have minded so much that it has no business being here, and it should have been, created as something that, to be in the Martian Manhunter series, not in a, he's not being handled as well as he should be. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, he never has been. I mean, he's always been kind of a great supporting character. And I want to go back and reread John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake's run from the 90s, because I read it when it was coming out, and I read it in single issue form, and I never really went back and revisited it. And of course, I don't have those issues anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but they're reprinting it in trades. And a buddy of mine was reading it the other day, and he said, "Man, this is really good stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, I need to go back and check that out."
Yeah. At least the one element that I felt that it was interesting, at least this is how I saw it, when Jeff Lemire was doing Justice League United, at least the first volume, it almost felt like Martian Manhunter, like he was, I don't know if it was intentional, but he cared a lot. Like he was going back and forth trying to save Stargirl from all her troubles. I'm like, is Martian Manhunter falling for Stargirl? It would have been interesting if they would have, gone with it, because since Forever Evil happened, it felt like that was the, natural progression, but they never seemed to have capitalized on it, or maybe I was just reading too much into the relationship. But either way, the last badass moment that Martian Manhunter had was in the Injustice comic book series based on the video game, where he's trying to stop Superman and Wonder Woman, and he flat out says, "You all have considered me to be the most, underrated of your kind, where I am just as powerful and even more deadlier than you, Superman." I'm just like, he's got a point.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
So that's pretty much our review of Human for a Day. More Martian
Manhunter. With a lot of Martian Manhunter stuff.
With a little Martian Manhunter in it. Thank you all for listening. My name is Ernesto Martinez, and as always, Damon Patrick Hawk. You can follow him on Twitter as DHawkGuy. You can follow me on Twitter as MartinezXYZ, and you can find me on MoviePilot.com, Cinematic Universe, heir to the celluloid. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.